I,
it's
I wonder, are your parents or the dynamic of your parents still alive in you, in Bart now?
um, well, how do I say? Um, yeah, I think the well, it's a little bit the different perceptions. Okay,
Hmm.
I started with a certain perception of myself, of my mother. If we take the mother, okay,
Hmm.
so you grow up from the moment you are able to think, you think something about that mother and about you, and you think always in terms of what you miss, what they didn't give you, what you had the right to. I remember as a child, I was really I had sort of cruel fantasies that I would die and then they would suffer and then they would finally miss me, like that kind of
Mm,
crazy,
mm,
totally crazy. But
mm,
it's like
mm.
that. That's like the first perception. And of course, then you live. And for me, the first real experience was when I left home, like when I was out of that house,
Yeah.
I was able to come there without fighting. It was like, oh my God, it's possible to be with my parents, to have coffee together, and to behave. Wow, that was like, for me, that was the world upside down. So that was the first big. But then, of course, I noticed, like when I grew, that there was each time tension in me when I was going there. So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
learned progressively to relax myself. But I had to be aware also about the things I didn't want, because I always ended up sort of in a sort of a conflict. So it was kind of,
Yeah.
so I needed really to learn myself how to be there quiet, in a way, quiet, not to scare them. I needed to learn to not scare my parents. Why? Because then I was like, it was better for me,
Yeah.
it's sort of to be. And it's a learning, and of course I learned a lot by being a father myself, because then you understand that it's not all that simple, and like all kinds of crazy. So that is kind of the way it. And I would say in that process, like, reconstructive meant a lot to me. Like, the relationship with my mother will never be the same it was before. Now I lived reconstructive, and I
Mm,
lived that part, which was a
mhm.
part that I didn't see, I couldn't see, and that is there in her and in me, of course.
Yeah.
And that part changes a lot, and in my father as well, so it's kind of perception. But of course, the first perception never really leaves, like, I have to be aware not to go there, because it's no use to go there, but it's still there.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
still there.
Hmm.
And a big moment of learning in the relationship with my mother was the moment I realized I had a choice. I had a choice. It was when I had a well, I lived a bit a crazy life. Well, from their point of view, it's totally crazy, my life. So I became a doctor. I was a good student. It was easy. I worked as a doctor. I earned good money. And then at 40, I said, okay, I stop with it. I go studying psychotherapy. I became a psychotherapist. And then, I worked there. And for them, it was really a bit crazy. What is he doing? Like, what, what,
Mm.
what is this about? I know my mother said, okay, in our village, it doesn't exist, psychotherapy. Okay, and I will do it, like, it's kind of, it's that kind of. And then, okay, 10 years later, of course, my practice was good, big practice with I think 8 or 9 people working with me together, and we had our 10th anniversary, and it was a reception. A lot of people were there, and my parents were invited, and they were there. And I was in a circle with people speaking, and my parents were there. And one I think a woman or a man, I can't remember, said to my mother, "Wow, isn't it amazing? Isn't it enjoyable that your son did all this?" And my mother said, "Yeah, but with 10 kilos less, it would be better." So referring to the fact that I gained weight,
Yeah.
and she said that. And I remember I was like, holy shit, you know, like, but I knew, my God, you know, like the old Bart, he would have taken her, throwing her out of the window, and then feeling lousy and feeling. And then I went to the bathroom and stayed there. I said, okay, I have a choice, you know. But what choice? What I will do? And I just decided to not doing anything. And that was a real change, you know, a real choice.
Yeah.
I don't have to go there.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not. Well, you know, but well, that is what she sees in me, you know, like, and that is what is her foreground. And on the moment somebody says, like, wow, your son, she just can't, you know, it just doesn't enter. It just she has no place in her. But it isn't about me. This is nothing about me. This is all about her. But it even then, you know, I was more than 50 on. I was 50 on that moment. It was kind of a. And I had like 4 years of therapy, of training in therapy. So it was really difficult, you know, to just not let her become the mother I always had and the mother I always fought with, and just to stay, okay, this is her, and if I don't do anything, I'm not concerned.
Yeah.
It's and it meant a lot of. It's a sort of a. It's a freedom you give yourself, you know, not even blaming her or not even, you know, that's the reality. That is what she can do. And I know that she loves me. I mean, you know, it isn't about those words. Those are simply words coming out of a whatever. Yeah. I don't know where they come from. But the real connection between me and my mother are not in those words and not in other words. They are just there, you know, it's just my mother. So it isn't because she says that I have to stop, like, being her son, in a way.
Yeah.
And so the freedom in that, because you would think, like, you know, in therapy, you think you have to stand up for yourself, you know, and make her clear. But imagine if I would have talked to her and said with my energy, you can't say that, or this is irrespectful, and blah, blah, blah. She would, I mean, there is no way to talk with her about that. There is no way. And it's okay. Why? What is the importance of all that? Except for me, that I was touched. I learned the not seeing child in me. I learned his emotions. I learned the process. And I learned there is another way. You don't have to every time stand up for yourself. Choose your battles. Choose your battles.